Hi everyone, I am Tara and I would like to welcome you all back to my channel, Spirit Mother Teachings of Going Within. Tonight I'm going to talk about sexuality, okay? I know I just kind of jumped right into that because it's more of like, are you in denial when it comes to sexuality? Okay, because this here is going to be a touchy subject for a lot of people. And it was the topic was inspired by it's like memories, but it's figuring out if there are my own memories. It's kind of like you start, whether it be past or what have you. Okay. And seeing some of it and knowing my, like, from experiences, and it's kind of like a trigger, and it kind of you to remember certain things or what have you. And a lot of it rooted around sexuality and being in denial of it, whether it be denial of yourself or denial of someone else close to you, what have you. Okay, so before I get started, I'm going to go to my trusty little cards again. So let's see what the cards say to us today. Okay, and it says, to believe a thing is possible is to make it so. Okay, right now I'm going through a part in my journey. I'm not gonna like really get into it, but what I'm talking about today kind of inspired me in another aspect. We're all growing, so it's finding the pieces to a puzzle and figuring out where and what we're supposed to be doing. It kind of nerve-wracking sometimes when you really like until you get there and you're pushed and pushed, but it's still going through it. But it was like the epiphanies and memories that I was having, it made me realize what's happening in the world right now. Okay, with the sexuality thing. Okay, and like I said, this is a very touchy subject for some, because some just, it's a taboo and nobody wants to talk about it, or others want to talk about it but others don't. So it's like a conflicting kind of back and forth, like, I don't want to hear what you have to say. But what we need to look at is when we say, like, the part of I don't want to hear what you have to say or what have you, it reflects badly, especially on someone who is dealing with their own sexuality. It's kind of epiphanies that you have when you go through this. This here is, like I said, it's a hard one. As I told people before, I was bisexual. Do I recognize do I recognize an attractive woman? Yes, I do. But we're all attractive in different ways, depending on eye is in the beholder. So it's not about that, because you may see something in that person that others don't see. So that's a part of sexuality too. because we all look and we say, like, there's so many different names for it. But like with regards to the different feelings of sexuality. And I understand where confusion comes from, like not confusion, because it's not that we're confused. Okay, that's the wrong term to use. Okay. We're all going through many different lifetimes. So it becomes scrambled sometimes. And we're trying to find our identity. Okay. And like our identity, how we feel within, may not reflect what we see on the exterior. And we feel sometimes that the only way is to change our appearance. I feel that. Okay. And it's we feel that if we change our appearance, then our appearance, okay, your appearance does not make you who you are. And I hope that makes sense. Okay. You may look one way or another. And it's how we bring it forward to different beliefs. I know that you hear a lot of people, it's like they're pushing it, they're pushing it, they're pushing it. Can't do that. Pushing something in that in that degree, that magnitude, is not going to help someone to accept something. It's in the way it's all presented. It's like a presentation. Ah, crap. Oh my. Okay. It's like I'm not having seizures or anything like that, although it may appear that way. I did have them in the past, but this here is like, it's epiphanies. And when you have epiphanies, it's like your body goes through electrical currents, sort of. It's like a wiring. Det sitter och tar så kommer jag ta. And it gives you that natural, but it looks weird, yes. Oh my goodness. Okay. It's releasing. Okay. It's releasing things from your own traumas. It's releasing things from your own feelings one way or another, whether it be that somebody said something or made a comment to you. That's when it goes really and gets really deep, and it becomes a seed, and it's the part of you're not feeling comfortable in your own skin. Crap. Oh God. It's like, oh, these said they. I know what this may look like, but you don't understand it until you actually experience it. It's not a bad thing. It may look like, holy crap, is that not like, but it's okay. because I signed up for this. Why? It's like, I guess because I'm here to help and enlighten not only others, but enlighten myself, because I too have been closed minded in a lot of ways, and I had been in denial of my own truths and what have you. And it's okay. It's part of being it's part of being your authentic self, and sexuality is a big part of that. Because sometimes, okay, I know, like, in the gay community, whether straight, bisexual, transgender, what have you, okay, there's just so much that was going on, and it wasn't accepted because it was being pushed in a way, but more people become more accepting of it, because it's always been said it's a disease. It's not a disease. What it is you have your masculine and feminine. Okay, it's like some would say, kind of, well, two-spirited. Okay, each side is one part of yourself. Okay, so they said, and it can go okay, it's like a pendulum too, or like a pendulum. It goes back and forth, but it can also go like a scale, because it's the imbalance. Okay, the imbalance of the two, like, it's like common ground, like seeing eye to eye, because the yin, the yang. Okay, well, as some say, yin yang. And it can get really intense. Sometimes you have more masculine and less feminine, or it's like this. Okay, sometimes it's like this, because the feminine's way up and the masculine is way down. So it becomes like this because each side is fighting against one another until they start to agree that they come to an understanding of each other. It's because a lot you're judging yourself for whatever reason, and a lot of time it's your own sexual inner thoughts. And some growing up, like they say that children explore. Okay, there's appropriate exploring, and then there's time to say, okay, something, right? But it's all, like I said, it's all on the way you approach it. It's more of us and like, well, what made you feel that way? Like, what, like, instead of, no, like, you don't do that. That's bad. Okay, because it gives that instilled into the child, which can grow up to be an adult feeling the same way, because it's like till the age of 25, people are mainly still maturing as to their sexuality. Okay, And that's hard for some to comprehend sometimes. And I know that I dealt with my sexuality, okay? And I'm not ashamed to say so, because it's what got me to where I am today, but the understanding. And once I understood what the lesson was, what the message I was being shown, or what have you, then it's easier to allow that to release. So as you release, it helps. It does take it's about going within. If you're in denial of yourself, it's when you when you're in denial, it comes out in many different ways. And a lot of time it can come out as you're a flamboyant masculine, if that makes sense. Because I like it's masculine is usually the male aspect and the female aspect, okay? Because it's neither male nor female in retrospect. Come here, okay? So when you start to go deeper, and like, because you can get angry, like men can get angry with women if they're gay and they have trouble coming out, and women the same way, and stuff usually starts happening. And we're like, some have, like, especially younger boys, even like not just younger boys, but in the younger generations, a lot of it was more directed towards the boys, because it was the aspect, like you'd hear, and it was like, no son of mine is going to be I don't even want to repeat, like say it, of what I got when I had my epiphany of it was like I was hearing that happening to someone. Um, so that would cause a lot of horror. Like sometimes, like, or like boys will put dresses on, or maybe the person somewhere's, and like even like the father or the mother, and they don't understand, and they don't want others to see that. It's like they get angry. So then the child becomes angry because they're being told that they have to suppress themselves. And what happens there is, when you're suppressing your feelings, and even with your sexuality, it becomes very intense, and you look for something to substitute the pain, to take the pain away. And that's when you get drinking and drugs and just different sexual behaviors, or anger. And a lot of time it all builds up. And then you feel like you got to keep denying it. And I know that, like, whether it be the feminine aspect or the masculine aspect, it's more of both sides are afraid to have their sexuality in ways, and others don't understand it. And what I mean by others is some people feel like they're uh, a female, feel like they're a male in a female body, but they're gay. Okay. And I see where it is, because it's a gay male that's gay. Okay. The aspect of the masculine, or the feminine is in, or it's like the masculine. Sometimes masculine's afraid to be feminine, and feminine's afraid to be masculine. I know, because it's like a roller coaster. Well, I don't want to be too feminine. It's like, well, dice que todo eso le conozco la verdad. I don't like, it's each to their own, but I feel like people, like, it's not about going and having our bodies mutilated, because I was looking at videos. Once in a while I watch things on TikTok, and it was like, we have sometimes sublime to the ridiculous. Like, a lot of people are more so angry with the men that are transgender and trying to push themselves on everything with regards to women, or some will say about the magnitude of makeup they have on. Well, it's how they feel at that moment, if that makes sense. It's how they're feeling with themselves, and they feel confident like that. Sometimes it's a job that they do. I can't judge, but it's about, like, understanding that, okay. And then I looked at another one, and it was a male, and it had facial hair, but dressed in more feminine, and had like what it was like. It was a beautiful image, and it's like, when you're able to, like, everybody is entitled to be beautiful in their own way. It's others that have trouble understanding it, and when we get in each other's faces, then, like I said, it makes it harder for others to accept, especially if it was instilled in them, or their parents, or their parents, or what have you. The first part is accepting your own sexuality, okay? And no longer worrying about what others feel. Like if you're if you're touching children, keep your freaking hands off them. You don't put your hands on anyone. Because like I said, if we push ourselves on other people, they're not going to accept, because it's just going to be more fear, more chaos, what have you. I've seen videos where like people are showing the a specific community where they're going and they're doing naked shows for kids, whether it's that, no. That's got nothing to do with it's sexuality, but it's a sexuality that is not for children to know about. Their minds are developing. They have to explore. They need to explore themselves. And it's like, I know, like even boys will put on, like your boys will put on high heel shoes. It's I know another a young woman, when I went to the bar, when I was going to the bar, she was she identified as a male who was gay. And that young woman ended up taking her life. Because we want others to accept us. And we come out, and you should be allowed to come out. And it's more of a media that produces something that causes others to turn on one another. Rolly, you're shedding, man. This kid, do you school money gonna away? We die. I know this, like, I'm just getting a lot of feeling right now, because if you are able to accept yourself, then the rest will come more naturally. When you look at what's going on today, it does. Sexuality has a lot of people fighting right now. And it all falls to limited beliefs that we've been told. But see, the thing is, it's sorting, we're sorting things out. And others may not like have a clue what I'm talking about by sorting things out. It's like our ancestors, everything. Okay? Look off. And if you look back, like we've all been a male or a female, the feminine, full feminine or full masculine, and what have you. And we're here, Rolly, I'll put you on the floor. We're here to balance it out. Like I'm talking about a certain topic, and like this happens sometimes. Ti se totoi ekolei. Te shulamane. Ki totoi.
Sky.
Okay. The hardest part is accepting that it's possible that someone you love or care about may be gay. And sometimes we don't want to accept it, like I said, because it's said to be a taboo. But the thing is, we can't choose something for other people. And no, you may feel that, well, I shouldn't have to look, because I've heard people say it. Well, I shouldn't have to see it. Well, if you're straight, then they shouldn't have to look at you all over each other in the middle of the street. But there's a time and place for making out. Like there's giving someone a kiss. But like literally making out in public. I was guilty of that at some points. So, like, it's when they say about forgiveness, it's about you going in and seeing both sides of yourself, because there's the female aspect of you, the feminine aspect of you, and there's the masculine aspect of you. And like I said, it's a struggle. And it's like, become who you are, not who somebody says you are. Okay? It's feeling them out sometimes. Okay? Because I know that, like, when I first had my bisexual experience, I had this one person that will always say that if I was ever gay, they'd disown me. So this one day I went to the person and I told them, I said again, like, what would you do if I told you that I was with a woman? And it was more along the lines of like, well, I just like at that point, at that time, it was I disown you. And then when I said, well, I was with a woman, it's like, well, I guess whatever turns you on. And that's the thing. Sometimes you can have a relationship where you can have a partnership where you each can play the different roles. And I know that's what I'm saying is part of sexuality. No, am I a sexual therapist? No, but like I've seen or I've experienced enough to know, and I'm not talking like whatever. But it's when you experience, because I've been shown, not only from my physical body, but the internal, and seeing the other half of what the other half of myself experienced or experiences. Because it can be like you just to have a partner. And I know someone who, like, for years and years, the person lived in denial. Everybody knew. But they kept denying it. You could see the different aspects of the feminine aspect of them. Even as a young child, I knew that. And it was like just finding yourself and knowing it. Not still going back and forth and trying to figure it out, get it together. And then the rest will come more naturally, opposed to it being suppressed or forcing it out. Because when we're forcing it out, it's because we're still struggling in ways with our own sexuality, because we're still wanting others to accept us. So in that aspect, it's like us accepting ourselves. Okay. May have lost some of you on it. And it's like we go in a closet and we keep drinking ourselves there. And it could be like any aspect of sexuality. Like sometimes, like it's like you want to fit in, so you'll pretend you're somebody you're not. But you're not really happy. And I'm not to say that you're not happy. And that's not what I said. But see, you already know that. I was pretty tomboy growing up. And then, like I said, just this summer, I was wearing a dress and a comment was made to me. Like just the atmosphere where it was at and the way it was done. I know it never happened to me. But I know that it happened to an aspect of me. And I believe that that aspect of me was more like a young adolescent boy. And I believe he was wearing a dress. And I've had a lot more epiphanies about it, and I've seen the road of the different experiences that they had. It come in kind of bits and pieces, and you see, you feel the lostness, the anger. And a lot of the time, they'll make, whether one side or the other, masculine or feminine, they'll make certain comments to the same sex if they're gay in some ways, if they're in denial and they don't want others to know. Because we say we want things, but like we want a life, but when you're denying yourself, then it's really hard to get there because you keep beating yourself up and everybody else in your path. It's about finding that right person that you can talk to, confide in, to help you through it. Because it's not a disease. And it should never have been made a taboo, because it's like, that's where anger comes from. When you get told that you have to suppress who you are, it's like if you're suppressing and you keep suppressing, then you're denying yourself. And it comes out in explosive ways. That's where, like, you see, like when you have families where they're able to express themselves freely in healthy ways, then it's easier. But first, I mean, before you, like, it's being honest with yourself. And allowing, like I said, age appropriate. Okay, kids will say, "Oh, that's a pee-pee," or what have you. It's when there's different behaviors going on. Sexuality brings into play also an intimacy. Because if the sexual preferences aren't connected, then there's not going to be really much intimacy there, because it's going to be like, if one's in denial, then it's going to be a pushing back, and then the other person's not going to understand what's going on, so it becomes like a constant like that. And some people, you separate. Well, sometimes there's that hold there, because sometimes you're there. Well, you're not sometimes there. We're all in certain places for different reasons. It's coming to your own understanding, and that can be the hard part, especially, like I said, with all that's going on and things are being pushed on people. It's about putting the teachings out there for others to have the free will if they want to look, but stop throwing shade on other people because you don't understand them. Maybe it's an aspect of you that you're not understanding right now. Maybe it's something that you need to go within and see. So be true to yourself. If you want the life that you always dreamed of, you already have it. You just got to get there. You got to get through this. And we're all finding everything about ourselves. And like I said many times, it's about going in and digging out the seed that caused so much pain. I've said, breaking the sire, the father of the pain. Okay? It's like showing it to itself, the mirror reflection. And like it's like you're hashing it out with yourself. And sometimes you just want to kick yourself in the ass. And if you don't, well, you're in denial of that, because we all go through something that we've done and we want to kick our own ass for doing it. But it's like, just, we're all going through it together. It's like you're not alone going through this. It's a journey. And it may seem like a real poopy journey sometimes. But it's all in the way we approach it. It's like I said, you find yourself, and once you fully accept then you start moving forward, because as time that like the denial starts going away, and then you become you. It's not like a sublime to the ridiculous, total look what I can do, like total attention on you or what have you. It's I'm not saying don't be spastic, because we all can be spastic sometimes. But it's wanting, because it happens, especially like if you have a husband and wife, okay, and it seems like they're both in competition for the same person, because one doesn't know the other in some senses. So that's when what ends up happening is you get the jealousy, and it's like the going to fight for the attention on either side. And that was another part of my epiphany, because it was like I seen it and I was living it, but I also lived the darker side. I also seen the darker side of it, the dark side. It was a relationship that became extremely abusive. Not necessarily was it like so much physical, but I have a feeling there was that. And it was a lot of anger. But there was a love there too. And then other things transpire. So then you keep going in a circle, because you remain in a denial. And yep, I just caught somebody saying that sometimes each person likes to what have you. That's up to them. And it's a matter of, if like, not a matter of, I mean, it's your choice, but it's usually the aspect of, is there going to be a jealousy created? Because then that just creates more. So it's that in that aspect, it would be a full understanding by both parties. But I had somebody, and it's not that it's a male that's, well, the person said that men are meant to basically make as many women pregnant. It's like a lineup and what have you. And they say that it leaves an imprint on the partner, especially in females. But like when it comes back that, okay, and if a woman does it, well, they're this, they're that. So it's like, well, okay, if a woman does it, how is a woman that if a man's not that, when a man could get a woman pregnant every 5 minutes if he wanted to? And a woman can only get pregnant once within a 9-month period, for the most part. The others is rare. So it was like, well, wasn't that very sexual, like sexually stereotypic? So it's like, why would you say that? And sometimes you get some, like, they will talk to a woman like they're talking to a man. When a man or a masculine looks at a feminine, or like, I mean, it could go both ways. A feminine could do it. But when you notice that it is in more of a ignorant way, and the man to a woman will make a blowing gesture, or they'll look at the woman and say, "Oh, blow me." It's like, really? You're pretty freaking ignorant, aren't you? It's like that part of sublime to the ridiculous. And when you want things to change in life, you got to come to your center. You got to bring it all. Like it's bringing it all together. And as you start more, or you come more and more together, then it's easier to navigate through yourself. It will help you to allow yourself to open up more so that you can release the old bad negative and bring in the new of the positive. The more, it's like a self-esteem. Your self-esteem gets kicked. And I know that, like, when I experienced something and I realized, like, okay, oh my gosh, like yeah, this person was literally like kicked in the head and everything like that. And it's like I'm seeing that aspect, and I'm seeing it all, and it's like, holy shit, holy poop, holy poop, holy poop. But the more that I'm seeing, it's the more understanding of where it all came from. So that's the part of, like, understanding yourself and being able to understand where others are coming from. It's like not forgetting where you came from yourself, and then treating others that are still struggling like others used to treat you when you were going through it. So it's more of like, remember where you came from, the struggles that you had to get where you are, and that's where you become a good teacher. You learn it through your experiences more so. And it's what makes, because you know where they're coming from. You can have a lot more understanding of it from all aspects of the different things of what you experienced. It's like not being afraid. And sometimes you want to approach subjects like this to someone, but in a lot of ways you don't know how, because it's like, to what extent? Like, it may, like, for it becomes almost like a hollering match, or like, instead of being truthful, people try to push each other away, because then because they don't want to face the truth. So sometimes they figure that the other person can't handle the truth, but sometimes they can. Because in some ways, like, in some ways, people already know the truth. They're in denial themselves. And then when they're no longer in denial, they wait for the person to no longer be in denial. And like I said, a person could be pretending, like being gay, and then all of a sudden they feel like they're not gay anymore. It happens. So it's connecting with yourself, finding yourself. You're like I said, a lot of people already know that. But do you know it about other people? That it's not just like if you're having like ignorant feelings, maybe you don't want to believe it yourself, but maybe that's not, like I said, that's a part of you that you don't want to face. Rolly, you're shedding all over Nanny. He's got mushroom in the toy, eh? Get the toy. Give it a getting. So I guess that's just my thoughts, my experiences of what I like through visions and what have you. And like I said, like it's it's like I was having memories of someone else. And it's usually when that happens, it's to show you something. Sometimes it's like they what it's you want to go to your mother because the mother is more understanding. But then if you have a mother that has a lot of feminine and doesn't stand up for herself, then things can happen there, and then sometimes you get an anger for your mother or a mother figure because it was like you didn't you can feel like you didn't stand up for me. And I understand where that is because I seen that part of it. And then I seen the part of where it was back and it happened and the mother stood up. Because it's like, what is it? Pretty Little Liars. It's a show, a series. I watched the series once, and now I get the understanding of it. It's like about this girl, and she has two brothers. Like one part of it is she has two brothers, but she didn't remember one of the brothers because the father had him sent away because he was dressing in dresses, in girls' clothes, very feminine. So what ended up happening, the mother let him go, or the mother took him, but later later had a sex change, paid for a sex change for him. And she was now a woman, just looked like a woman. And she was very angry. And when this happened, the mother introduced this young man that was gay and became a woman. The mother introduced her to her other two children as being a cousin. And that, it just like, she was, the person, they were very angry, and they wanted to cause pain on the family, or even kind of take the girl's identity in ways. But it was more of a, it was because she felt she had to change her appearance because she wasn't accepted in that form. She wasn't accepted to be a boy wearing a dress. So that's a lot of what happens. And when it's like having the closed-mindedness because we don't understand something. We don't understand what's going on because we're not that, well, we're an aspect of that person. Unless we actually see what they've gone through, we don't know what they've gone through. So it is. It's like judging a book by its cover. And sometimes judging a story by its pictures. Because sometimes you just don't know what goes on behind closed doors. And it's a lot of sorting through it, and you're sorting through your own closet door. Ouch! You got some nails there, man. So, I guess with that being said, I'm going to leave you there. Like I said, some may understand what I agree with or understand with what I'm saying, and some could be thinking like, lady, like, you don't know nothing. But I know some things. And if you're thinking that, maybe you have to look at yourself for a second. And I'm not saying you're gay or anything like that, but I'm talking about like your inner self of one aspect or another, because it's not just about the sexuality aspect of it. Because it becomes a whole. The intimacy of like connecting with yourself. And when you're connecting with yourself, you can actually feel the expansion of yourself being able to shine more, come through more. And then we want to close it because we get afraid. We get scared of. But it's like it all come together in its own way. And when we, like I said, when we try forcing it on other people, then they just don't want to even take the time. But it's like when things happen with our it's about asking what were they like, what was this the feeling you were having? that made you want to experience it. Because like I said, our children have past, like we have past lives, our children have past lives. Okay. And they experience them and we act them out until we figure out what is going on, until we figure out whether it's repetitious and just repeating over and over. Because like I know myself, till you start figuring things out, it's like, I've been through this, like, what's going on? And then you just like, it's like fruit, let me off this ride, it's not fun anymore. So it's like you just went up. But it is that it's a part of finding yourself. It's your likes, and like some of us are just like, we're just wanting to be alone because we're bumping heads. And I have like someone that says you think you can read my mind, is like, no, it's not about it's not about reading someone's mind. It's about when you see a memory and being able to, like I said, being able to understand it. Not overthinking it. Because when you're overthinking it, then you're producing something to it that isn't. If that makes sense. Because it sort of did to me, ironically. So, with that being said, I'm going to leave us off with a card again. I say okay. Always bear in mind that your own resolution to succeed is more important Well, I'm sorry, but like, well, that I don't. I'm going to say I don't agree with that, because I know that me moving forward and succeeding, but it's all important to me succeeding, but helping others to succeed as I succeed. It's like teaching. Because as I see others succeed, as I see others succeeding, then I know that I'm doing it, because if I'm helping them, then I know that I'm moving forward myself on my journey, on my teachings, on my lessons, on my learning. So more important, my family is family to me is another most important, because you have to have your health first. When you have your health, which is what we're going through with regards to accepting and not being in denial of things anymore, or what have you. It's that aspect of going forward and digging within so that you can succeed yourself. Send you all much love, light, many blessings, most importantly, very good health to anyone and everyone wanting, willing, ready to receive and accept. I want you all to be big, bold, brave. Most importantly, be yourself. Be your authentic self. And your authentic self is being your true self. They say, be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. Know that you are stronger than you can even comprehend sometimes. And you can get through it. It's just allowing yourself and just saying, okay, I'll let go of a little today. Won't bring any back. I'll let go of a little. And as days go by, you just you start just watching it go by. Sometimes we try to resonate with it, but it's not about resonating with it. It's like seeing it. It's like a movie. Seeing it, letting it go by, not trying to put yourself in it, because it's already gone. It's already happened in one way or another. Okay? So just remember that it's here. And just scream it out if you have to yourself. Bring it out. Because it may seem extremely scary, but it's like the only way, the way to defeating your fear is facing it. And like the facing it within, not beating yourself up over it. That's where the forgiveness is. The true forgiveness is when you can go in deep and find that wound that never healed, that seed that boiled and festered opposed to sprouted into a blossom. That's what we're doing now. We're digging in to find the seed so we can help it to breathe, to grow. Okay, so I'll leave you there. It's Friday night. I hope you're all having a great evening, and I see you and wish you a beautiful weekend. I know where I'm at, we're said to get a rain nor'easter or something like that, but weather can change at any time. I love you all. Have a great night.